Today on CityCast Austin, we got a local celebrity on the pod. Aaron Franklin is a barbecue icon and single-handedly has changed Austin's restaurant scene. He joins me to talk about brisket, East Austin, and his personally curated food festival, Hot Luck. It's Tuesday, May 20th. I'm Nikki Devon, and this is what Austin's talking about. Hello, I am here with Aaron Franklin, big deal, super famous, amazing Austin chef. Hi, Aaron. I'm so excited to talk to you.
Well, diddly diddly.
Before we get started, I need to talk to you very seriously about the fact that Uptown Sports Club has me in a chokehold. I love it so much. I eat there maybe once a week. I mean, listen, they're going to think I'm some sort of stalker. I got to stop coming in here.
No. We want more stalkers. That's actually what the place was designed for. It was meant to have like our neighborhood friends showing up, hanging out all day. But yeah, you should hang out there as much as you can.
Listen, it's getting all my money and I'm into it. So, okay. Now you, like a lot of people here, weren't necessarily born in Austin, but you moved here as an adult.
I got here as soon as I could.
You got here as soon as you could, and now you're here and you're doing things. Do you consider yourself an Austinite? I'm assuming yes, but if so, when did you first feel like, okay, this is it, I've arrived, I'm an Austinite?
Well, technically to be an Austinite, you would have to be born here, and I sadly was not. I mean, I grew up about 2 hours from here. I spent a lot of time hanging out here, spent a lot of time going to shows and stuff. And really, when I was young, I decided that I wanted to move away from where I was born and raised. So I started collecting furniture when I was around 12. And then, just kind of the countdown was on. The second I turned 18, I was out.
Nice.
And I came here because most of my friends already lived in Austin. I played music. So it just kind of felt really natural. And that was in the 90s. And, I feel like a local. I feel like Austin's kind of accepted me.
I love this idea that at 12, you're like, okay, I'm good. I'm going to start gathering my things and move and get out of here. So you're a nationally known pit master. You have best-selling cookbooks and classes on Masterclass. But I want to talk about the beginning. You grew up working your family's barbecue restaurant. Mm-hmm. And, is there any other reason why Austin was the place you decided to just like set up shop? Because, it's different being like, I'm 18, I'm going to Austin. That's one thing, but like building your empire here, that's a different thing. So what made you make that decision?
Well, we didn't open up Franklin Barbecue the second I moved here. That's for sure. It took many, many, many years. But, like we're the special little pocket here in Austin in the middle of Texas. And it certainly fits me well. I like to do my own thing. I don't really, fit into certain boxes very easily. And a lot of people in Austin don't. That's why we all kind of thrive here, and if we go, back a number of years when Austin was a whole lot cheaper, you could work a junky job. You could not make much money. You could play music. Like I lived in Cherrywood for $137 a month.
Wow.
Like, you just can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
But after, spending so many years playing in bands and just being on the road and working different jobs and hanging out, you just kind of know everybody after a while. It's like when you go to Club HEB in the Hancock Center.
I call it the hot HEB because every time I go there, I'm like, oh, everybody is so attractive. I could never come back here unless I look good. Yeah, but yes.
Well, it used to not be that way because it used to be around the corner at a different location. But, the spirit of Austin really kind of made Franklin Barbecue work. And I didn't know that I wanted to open a restaurant. Like, I grew up in a bunch of family businesses. The apple didn't fall far from the tree. My grandparents had a record store. So kind of like mom and pop businesses have always really been a thing for me. Like I love local businesses.
Yeah.
And Austin is the place for that. So Franklin Barbecue really started out of backyard barbecues. And Stacy and I, now wife and of course business partner. We were, this is 20 something years ago, I guess, early thousands. And we were kind of starting to hang out and date and stuff. And we started doing backyard barbecues. And that whole backyard barbecue thing was kind of born out of just being around town. But I would do little handbills and I would do little flyers like, hey, like the backyard barbecue. And then eventually
Love that.
people started kind of being like, oh, it's Aaron, the barbecue guy. And this is like a long time ago. Like, we had Ruby's, we had Rudy's, Sam's on 12th, and Pokey Joe's.
Yeah.
Like, there wasn't a thriving barbecue scene in Austin. Like, you had to go to Lockhart, Luling, Taylor to get anything, that was pretty good. So it really wasn't much of a scene at all. And I was just home between tours once. I bought a barbecue pit for $99 at Academy and, put it in the backyard, cooked a terrible brisket, probably, maybe not the worst brisket I've ever done, but close. And, I was totally hooked. I really loved, just kind of like the art of this. And so we started doing these, just kind of practicing. And that was really when I kind of felt like, okay, I think I want to open a barbecue joint one day.
I love that.
I had no idea what that really meant.
Yeah.
But yeah, one thing led to another. And initially it was just friends from around town that would come to our backyard, and they kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And then friends were really helpful and supportive, and everybody kind of rallied behind us to help us open this trailer.
And that was 2009, right? For your trailer.
Yep, 2009. We started working on trying to work towards opening something with absolutely no money, which is tricky. And you couldn't pull that off in Austin these days by any means,
course.
But I mean, we built our restaurant for $12,000.
Wow.
And cash flowed it out of a trailer.
That's wild.
I don't know how you would pull that off these days.
That is a very Austin thing too, though.
It is super Austin.
That's a very back in the day Austin thing for sure.
Yeah. But I also feel like Franklin Barbecue probably wouldn't have worked out as well as it has if we were anywhere else in the world. Austin is just always been such a great place for creative and awesome people to do something neat, and just really supportive. Love the city.
So since then, Franklin Barbecue has just exploded. I mean, it's become synonymous with our city, and it's like a must-visit place with that line. Oh my God. My experience with Franklin's is that I had to be kind of proven, right? Because I'm just like, I'm not standing in line for nothing. I don't stand in line for food. I don't stand in line for drinks. I am just that person. So I would drive by and see people outside of your restaurant at 8:00 in the morning in camp chairs wrapped around the restaurant. What is going on? So I went to an event that had picked up the food. They had made an appointment and picked up the food, and that's what we had. And I was like, oh, this is Franklin's Barbecue. But I think it's not just the barbecue. We cannot deny that. The barbecue is bomb. But I think it's also this just kind of cool community thing that happens now, because you go and you stand in line. Another person was telling me this that was visiting Austin. She's like, yeah, you go and you stand in this line, but then you meet all these people, and you meet all these people from all over the place. Not just Austinites, not just people from Texas, but you're meeting people from all over the place that have come to Austin to sit in this line to get your barbecue. So it becomes a different experience that in itself is just very Austin. I say all that to say the popularity cannot be ignored. It is now a thing.
So the line is very much a thing, and it's been a thing since
it's a thing.
About 2 months after we opened. So the line started happening at the trailer, and it would go down I-35 and stuff. But in context, a lot of cool food things were happening in 2009, 2010. That was a really kind of iconic era for restaurants and food. And that was the early days of social media and, food blogs and stuff like that. So, it was a time.
Yeah. And so here we are years later. The quality has not changed. I'm curious how you are balancing this popularity with your quality and keeping your quality steady rising.
We've never really changed. We've only gotten better. And it's because we don't expand. We have such an amazing team. I'm there in and out every day. Stacy's there all the time. It's a locally run restaurant, and we're so careful to not let it get too big. So in the early days, you can only cook as much food as you can fit on a barbecue pit. So I only had one cooker when we opened. So that was 12 briskets. And then that's how long the line was. And then I started building another barbecue pit. And of course, we build everything ourselves too, because you couldn't just go out and buy a huge barbecue pit. They didn't really exist. So they would build a second barbecue pit and it would 24 briskets and the line got longer. So we, we're always kind of like pushing to do as much as we could, but to keep it really good. And, every day's got to be better than the previous day. I've never run a restaurant before. Stacy's never run a restaurant before. We're just winging it, just kind of really just trying to make it happen. So the first 5 years of the place, I was always working on a cooker. I was getting to work at midnight. I was cutting every lunch. I was doing all this stuff, like these crazy work hours. But in 14, we built a smokehouse. And that kind of plateaued everything because we can only have that amount of cookers, like no more cookers. 120 briskets a day is our max. That's all we can fit. So we can only make that finite amount of food. But that's how we've gotten really, really good at it. So that once the pressure is off of making just the food, then we get to go back through all the restaurant and figure out how the economics work. Then we get to build systems. We get to make spreadsheets. We get to really dissect things that we never had time to do before because we were stretched so thin. So that's really, I think that's how we've managed to make it better. But it's also, we have to keep in mind that a restaurant's not just about the food. It's really about the service. It's about the friendliness. It's about the connections that you make. It's about the hugs and the high fives. And that's really more what we do than just make barbecue. We're kind of just making memories. And it didn't, we didn't start off wanting it to be that way. I just wanted to make a good sandwich. But it's turned into that. And I couldn't be more proud of it. And I also couldn't be more proud of the almost 50 people that work at that restaurant. It's the coolest freaking restaurant I've ever worked at.
I love the intention. There's a little bit of trial by fire at the beginning. I think that makes sense. I love the making memories. I love that because, that's the feedback I get. The feedback I get is, oh my God, I went and it was awesome. And we took a chair and I looked on the internet about what to expect. And I love that. I love that.
Yeah. Well, and the thing also is that, it's that extra step. Like when somebody's forehead's getting red, we'll bring out some sunscreen. Like, hey, why don't you drink some water? Your kids are kind of whiny. Why don't we get your kids some snacks? Oh, I'll go wash your baby bottles.
I love that.
It's just full. It's just, all in. And it's really, the North Star for Franklin since way before we ever opened was to make it feel like grandma's house. It's got that like, oh, hey, honey, I made you some meatballs.
Yeah.
And it should always just have that Southern hospitality, just the warmth. And that's a cool thing in Austin is that Austin's a city. It's got all this artsy stuff. We've got great restaurants, but we've also got such an Austin brand of friendliness.
Yeah. There's a magic in Austin that exists that is just taking care of each other in these really, really specific ways. That is a very Austin thing to do. And I love that.
Next level. It's definitely next level.
So places like New York Times and Texas Monthly have dubbed this and I'm putting this in quotes, golden age of barbecue. And a lot of people credit you for this survival. And I'm curious, what do you think and feel when you hear that?
I think it's pretty flattering being blamed for that.
That was a strategic use of the wordplay. I love that.
I am really particular about keeping the barbecue blinders on. That's one of the ways that we are able to stay super duper modest at Franklin Barbecue and just in life in general. Like, I don't want to know what's going on out there. I don't keep up with barbecue stuff. I just want to keep our little special thing special. So I honestly don't pay much attention to that stuff. And I don't really know. I just don't know. We're off in La La Land in a lot of ways.
I like it. Hey y'all, it's Nikki. I have to tell you about Tecovas boots. I finally have a pair, and I don't know if y'all know this, but they're handmade, high quality, and stylish. And they're comfortable right outside of the box. Now, I know we buy everything online these days, but trust me, you have to get fitted for some boots at Tecovas. Now, whether you're like me, a newbie to boots, or you have a closet full of them, the folks at Tecovas will help you find your next favorite pair. So, grab a friend, head on over to the Tecovas flagship on South Congress or their store at the Domain. Plus, good news, they just opened a store in Georgetown at 709 Main Street for those of you that live just a little further north. With 3 locations in town, you have no excuses. So, that's tecovas.com. TECOVAS.com. Don't go gently, y'all. Y'all, there's something going on this summer that's a little far away, but if you're an adventurous theater lover, it should definitely be on your radar. The Williamstown Theater Festival. It's from July 17th to August 3rd among the Berkshire Mountains in northwestern Massachusetts. And there are over 130 artists that will take the stage for nearly 100 performances. It's a theater festival like no other and has been going on for 70 years. Weekend passes include admission to 8 shows, including a world premiere by Jeremy O. Harris, plus a Tennessee Williams show starring Pamela Anderson, Nicholas Alexander Chavez, and Whitney Peak, and a new adaptation of a Samuel Barber opera. Discounted hotel rooms are available through June 1st. So head on over to WTFestival.org and make your plans to immerse yourself in theater this summer. That's WTFestival.org. So I was raised in East Austin, and Franklin Barbecue and your newer restaurant, of course, the one that has me in a loving chokehold.
Oh, Uptown Sports Club.
Oh, man, I can't say enough. I'm serious. It's a lot. Anyways, but...
Well, it's also my favorite restaurant. It's all my favorite food, and really that restaurant, we really did it to save a cool old building. We just didn't want it to get torn down. It had been there forever. And we kind of just felt like if we didn't do it, like no one would, sort of.
And no one had. I mean, it'd been abandoned forever.
Oh, it was vacant for like 30 something years.
Yeah.
Not hooked up to any city services, no floor, just, really, really a total rehab, which the economics of, an historical rehab is not good. Mm-hmm. But, kind of in the building, it's like, this building feels really good. And, I had this weird pipe dream to open a gumbo window, because that's the food I grew up with. That's what my grandfather cooked. He taught me how to make a roux when I was real little. Like, he made etouffees and stuff like that. He was from Louisiana. And they're also the people that really got me passionate about food when I was a kid. That's how I learned how to cook. So I had this pipe dream to do this. This is like a very New Orleans-y feeling building.
Yeah.
So we did it, but then really didn't want to just be a New Orleans place. And that's why it's a little hard to pin down, with the gumbo, the po' boys and stuff, but then also like a Texas brasserie, seafood towers, good cocktails. Uptown has all of it.
So, this is kind of a personal question for me. So, both of these restaurants are rooted in East Austin, which has seen rapid development and gentrification in recent years. And, anytime something opens up on, especially a restaurant on this side of town, I'm always like, okay, is this going to be something that I feel is speaking to the neighborhood? So how do you think about your role in that, and just like being a part of the side of town that is really heavily gentrified, and how you have been showing up and how you're contributing positively to this changing neighborhood?
Well, it's definitely a thing. We lived back there for years and years and years and years. I mean, we built our barbecue trailer off of Springdale. Our original backyard barbecues were off of Holly Street. And that's kind of where I hung out. I used to go to Gene's on Thursdays for pork chops. But I think the thought is that you never want to take away from a neighborhood. You only want to like be an asset to it. And the East Side has always been so supportive, even of our backyard barbecues and all of our neighbors, and just like that Austin community that we keep talking about. But I feel like it's so much, well, to me, it's because I've spent more time on the East Side than anywhere else in Austin, but that feels like Austin to me, and people have always been accepting of me and what I could do to help the neighborhood and be an asset to the community and take food to, Carver Library when voting's happening. And like, I just want to be part of the neighborhood. And I think it really, for me, is just as simple as that. I do want to help people, and I do want to be there to be a part of the community and do what we can. And I think that's a big part of what Uptown is. It's kind of for the people, and Franklin Barbecue also is like the neighbors that just pop in randomly and just say hi, or like walk into the back kitchen and get an espresso, or just like drop off donuts on their way to work, it's a neighborhood spot. And
I think that you hit the nail on the head. It's just contributing to the community and being a part of the community. And I think that's kind of like, to be honest, something that you've hit that a lot of places don't.
Yeah, I don't want to take away. I just want to add.
Yeah. So, okay, I'm gonna switch gears a little bit. So Hot Leg Fest is coming up, and we'll talk about it. What inspired you to create it, and how does it fit into what makes Austin's food culture special?
Well, so the food culture, it has always been special, but it's also changed a lot, especially over the last 10 or so years. I mean, this city, with all the money coming in and better opportunities for restaurateurs and stuff, like our food scene has gotten exponentially better. I do feel pretty confident in saying we're actually, I think, the best food city in the state, which has never really been the case. But Hot Luck started is just a way like Fun had died, and that was a really just cool, wacky music festival.
Don't get me started. Yes.
Loved Fun. And so that had ended. It's about 10 years ago, I guess. So we've been doing Hot Luck for almost 10 years. And, really the idea was like, man, I used to do festivals, and I would get invited to like these food and wine festivals. And I would, in the early days of Franklin, like I was really working it, I mean, if you got a cool opportunity to go cook somewhere, like you got to do it. It's good for the business. And it was also really exciting. But of course, we have special needs. I mean, we need barbecue pits, we need firewood, we need crazy amounts of meat. And they're like, oh, well, you get $2 per portion. Like, this stuff's expensive, I was never really set up for success. Like, there's got to be a better way. And it was really a combination of like, okay, well, it would be really neat if Austin had a little small food festival that celebrated music in the same way that Fun did. And we're a music and food festival, of course. And thinking about like, okay, something that we could do music, that we could kind of tie in the hospitality, but it was really built kind of more for the industry. It's become the coolest food festival in the country for like chefs. Like it's like
a big deal.
It's really, it's super cool for the industry. And it's the same warmth that we have at Uptown, the same warmth that we have at Franklin. It's just a good party is all it is. It's a 4-day party that celebrates chefs from all over the world and bands from all over the place. And gosh darn, it's a ton of fun.
What are you most excited about this year?
Being done with it.
Yup. Spoken like a true creator.
I'm going to sleep really, really good. Once the post-event vacuum kind of dies off about Wednesday after Hot Luck, I'm gonna sleep for at least 5 hours one night.
I love that. So do you have any dishes that like maybe something that for the past 10 years they've been showing up and it's like these people don't miss? This chef does not miss. Do you have any of those dishes or anything like that come to mind?
Yeah, I mean, there are a handful of them, and most people don't do like the same dish every year. There are a few, like Franklin Barbecue, we can't not do brisket. And there's only so many ways you can skin a cat. Like, we're putting it on white bread, we're throwing some sauce on there, and we're going to slap some pickles in the mix because that's what everybody wants. So we kind of have to do that. And there are some other places like that, like Eventide, for example, out of Portland, Maine. These guys are awesome. They've been doing Hot Luck for years, and I don't think we'll ever have a Hot Luck without them. They do a brown butter lobster roll, and they're the Franklin Barbecue of the lobster roll world. If they didn't do that one bite, people would lose their minds, myself included.
I'm really curious because, first of all, through Hot Luck and also your restaurants, you seem to frequently lift up other chefs in Austin, which is also which is also kind of like a favorite thing of mine, as opposed to like competing with them. And so I'm curious, one, why that's important to you, and two, how does that influence how you curate your chef lineup for Hot Luck?
Well, I very much curate the chef lineup. I invite everyone personally, and it's not, I kind of shy away from chefs that are, maybe like go through like big PR companies or like, this guy's on Food Network.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. I'm not looking to just get like, food famous people. Like, I want people that I really, really like, that are awesome people. There's a certain level of kindness that has to be involved. There's a certain level of food quality that has to be there. And that's really it. If it's kind of like up and comers, that's always meant to be like kind of like a way to help young chefs kind of get out and do events and not be stranded out in a field. Like, that's kind of what we do. Like, I'll even chat on the phone with like kind of up and comers, and you're like, well, what are you thinking of doing? And you're like, I was kind of thinking something like this. I'm like, that seems hard. What about this? We're there to kind of just help the young ones, let people that are great at what they do what they do and be great at it. But also it's a cool festival for like the old schoolers like me that don't do festivals. Like there's so many just like old school chefs that don't do those things, and they come in, they only do one festival a year, and it's called Hot Luck.
Love it.
And I think that's really cool. But everyone gets vetted pretty heavily. Like I'll fly out and I'll go eat at a restaurant and I'll invite people in person.
I love that.
Like
I love
it's
that.
not just like, hey, an email or something like that, but they all have a connection to me. The chefs all know how much we care about them. That makes their food that much better, because they better not shit the bed.
Yeah.
They're going to show up and they're going to bring an A game. They're going to do the best they can. And they're also going to help their fellow chefs. There's groups of people that have made friends over the years that have done pop-ups, that do pop-ups all over the country. There's people that come in, and if somebody needs hands at their station, other chefs that aren't working that event will come in and help. Like I'll help at stations. Like it is run like a kitchen.
I love it. It kind of goes back to what you said originally. It's like you're creating grandma's house everywhere you go. Hot Luck is just a large version of grandma's house. I love that.
I am the ugliest grandma that's ever existed.
I love this. Listen, it's rare in a time full of competition shows and like all of this other kind of stuff to be creating an environment where there is not this weird competitive negative energy.
And it's not competitive at all. In fact, I really encourage people, like a lot, and I say this all the time. So maybe like, oh, what do you want me to do? Like, I'm thinking this, and like, I don't know. I mean, I just show up and make some hot dogs. Like, we're just here to hang out.
Yeah.
Like this, we're here to like really just be together and celebrate each other. It's equal parts awesome food, and equal part like have fun.
I'm curious if you have a hand in curating the bands as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We all talk about it. I've got particular taste in music. I love a raucous, loud rock show, beer slinging. I mean, I love a good rock show. So we always try to have a couple of those, just like good, fun live shows.
Yeah.
And, the conversation about music, it's my partner Moody and I, and he runs Mohawk and used to be in Fun Fest. And so he's, been in the mix for years. But then also we work through Resound, and they'll kind of look to see who's routing, and they'll kind of help us like fill in the gaps a little bit. So the music is more of a collaborative effort. Live music has gotten really hard to book, post-COVID.
Yeah.
I mean, things are so expensive. A lot in the same way as restaurants too. I mean, things are just so excessively expensive to do anything.
It's hard, but it's such a huge part of who we are as a city. It's such a huge part of our identity. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and it's a huge part of who I am as a person.
Right. Exactly. And it's, what's better than eating bomb food and listening to good music? Not much to me.
Mm-hmm. Hanging out with friends and making new ones.
Exactly. So, okay. I'm curious if someone is visiting Austin for the first time and they ask you what to eat besides Franklin's, besides Uptown Sports Club, I know. Where would you send them?
Well, I make lists for people all the time at the restaurant.
Love it.
Because it's people from all over the world. I'm like, ooh, what's on your food list? Let's talk about it. It could be anywhere from like, taco trailers, like, oh, go over to Quantos, get a carnitas, go to Discada at noon, get 3 tacos, get lots of extra spicy salsa. And then if you need breakfast tacos, go to Joe's, go to Primo trailer down south. If you need the best Tex-Mex, in the known universe, go to El Dorado. And if you want to have the funnest time doing Tex-Mex, classic margaritas, and sizzling plates of fajitas, go to Matt's El Rancho, especially if you got a large party, because that place is huge.
Huge.
And then I always tell people to go to Este to go get some seafood stuff. I love Este. I love those guys. I love Suerte too. Go to Kanji, because Tavel is just one of the sweetest, most talented guys in the world. And I love Kanji so much.
Kanji is probably one of my favorite restaurants in the city.
So good.
It's so good.
And I do tell people to go to Uptown Sports Club because it's a good afternoon spritzer.
I mean, come on. The brunch is good. It's good.
It's all good.
It's got some of the best bread pudding I've ever tasted.
Yep. That's true. You know, if you're into wine, Birdie's has the best wine list in town. Craft Omakase is amazing if you can get a seat. That's a hard one to pull off for a traveler, though.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's tons of spots, and there's
That's a
like the
good
local
list.
local haunts. I mean, you know, go to a
Yeah.
pizzeria and get a burger. Go to Monger's and get some oysters and a martini. You know, I mean, there's just so much good
Wow.
food here. Oh, and then for coffee, of course, everybody's always like, oh, where do we get good coffee? Barrett's or Double Trouble are my two coffee jams.
Okay, so listen, this Double Trouble just keeps coming up. All of my friends have been going for trivia. I still have not had a chance to go to Double Trouble.
Oh, it's a
I
great
need
spot.
to-
It's the last OG block in Austin, North Loop.
North Loop,
the Rock
yeah.
Block, if you will.
Yeah.
Right at the bend. So it's right there on the south side of the road at the bend, and it's right next to
Room service.
room service. Yeah,
Yeah.
the vintage store. Like huge backyard, great beer selection, excellent coffees. The culture that they've got over there it's just the same as Franklin Barbecue. Everybody's just so kind to each other. It's an awesome spot.
So you have changed the culinary landscape in Austin. I don't think that this is an opinion thing. This is just a fact. So what kind of responsibility do you feel to represent Austin through your food?
I think it's called Hot Luck.
Yes! That's what I was hoping you would say.
Yeah, I mean, we're so lucky. It's cool to throw a good party and say thanks and just get to share with people.
I got to say, I'm hearing about it all the time. I'm hearing about it from all these different places in the city, from my different friend groups, and I've never been. And this year is
Well, you
probably
better get
gonna
out there this year.
I know this year is probably going to be my year. If you had to pick a day to go down, which day would you say this is your first time? Come on down. Which day would it be, or are you just like thug it out and come all 4 days?
No, I think you have to do all the days because each event
Okay.
is totally different. And it's not
Oh,
just,
okay.
every day is the same out in the field. Each year we kind of re-theme certain events. We've always had the ranch one on Saturday. This year it's going to be at Jester King, which I'm super excited about.
Ooh, I love Jester King.
Great spot. Super dig those guys. They have 800 parking spots, although we can't find them all, but they're out there somewhere. Yeah, so, we've always had the ranch one. That one's called Al Fuego. That's a live fire event, and that's obviously why it's called Fuego. And then, we've kind of done Sunday events on and off. So last year we did a brunch event. It was awesome. We're doing it again this year, and I'm not going in chronological order, by the way. We're going to do the brunch event, Camp Sunnyside at Fair Market in the old Quonset hut, because last year it was out in the field and it was so hot and sunny. We just couldn't get enough shade. So that's going to be more indoors, and we're kind of setting it up like a summer camp mess hall kind of situation in there. And then the Friday night event is more of a night market. We've never done a night market before, but that one's going to be at Assembly Hall right across from Uptown. And, the idea behind that is that you walk in through the alleyway, so it feels kind of like a street. Like, it's not like an Asian night market or anything, but it's just like a night market. So like more street food and stuff. And that's where the Eventide guys will be. They're doing there's a whole bunch of New England seafood people that are in their own station back there. That's going to be really cool. So we're setting up like a full raw bar in the back. And there'll be like a video arcade. So it's kind of like, that one's called Night Moves. And it's kind of more of a riff on like kind of like 80s VHS tape kind of stuff. So the night market's going to be on Friday night. And then Thursday is at Franklin Barbecue. And that's a smaller one because we're losing the land around us. So it's getting smaller. That's called Giddy Up.
Giddy Up, yeah.
So that was Giddy Up. And that's only available to the whole enchilada passes. And the whole enchilada literally is the whole enchilada. That's the
All
all-in
of it.
pass.
Yeah.
So I would suggest that one. That's the best deal. That's the one that gets you into all the shows. That's the one that gets you into all the events and stuff. Yeah, that's totally the good one.
I love this choose your own adventure all over Austin. I love that approach. I got to say, I'm a fan. And to your point earlier, it just feels better than going to a big field for 4 days straight. You know what I mean? Like, I love that it's a little bit everywhere. Yeah, I love it. So what advice would you give someone who wants to be the next Franklin Barbecue? Or
Don't do it.
don't do You don't have $1,200 and it's not 2009. Don't do it.
Gosh darn, it's a lot of work. I mean, really, be smart, be passionate about what you do, but just make it the best you possibly can. Like, I think, devil's in the details, of course, but just, man, just don't half-ass things. Like, it's never good enough. I think if you're going to open a restaurant, just do it the absolute best you can and give it everything you've got.
Hell yeah.
And it might not work.
There you go. Is there anything else that you want listeners to know about Hot Luck that we haven't talked about yet?
I mean, it's May 22nd through 25th. It's always on Memorial Day weekend. Bring sunscreen, drink a lot of water, and wear some dorky looking comfortable shoes.
Yes. Aaron, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. I am so excited that I got to talk to you. I'm so excited about Hot Luck. I know you're busy, so I really appreciate you being here. It means a lot.
Absolutely. Great
Thank
talking
you for
to you.
doing this.
And be sure you find me at Hot Luck. I'll be running around out there somewhere, probably with a couple walkie-talkies.
You won't be busy at all.
Nah, nothing going on.
That's all for today here on CityCast Austin. You can find links to Hot Luck Fest and Aaron Franklin's restaurants in our show notes. If you enjoyed the show, why not tell a friend, rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our Hey Austin newsletter. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Bye, y'all.